Hey everyone, for my video today, I wanted to do something different. I interviewed a friend of mine who is also a real estate investor on a completely different side of the country. He is in Portland, Maine. We met, I think, 3 years ago at training in Iowa, out of all the places. And he has been doing real estate for a lot longer than I have, and I wanted to interview him and ask questions and hopefully create value for anyone who's watching. I've never interviewed anyone in my life. I have no idea how it turned out. We're just finished basically. So I'm gonna go edit this into something coherent, hopefully. And basically I hope you enjoy it. This was really fun to do for me. I wanted to do this for a long time. Please ask questions in the comments. If we talked about something that interests you, because this is what I have a problem with. I've been doing this for a while. He has been doing it for a lot longer. I have no idea how good my questions were because I don't, sometimes I forget what a person who has never done it would ask. So I will be happy to expand on any of the topics that we talked about. So please ask questions, and I or both of us will be happy to answer them later. Hi, everyone. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Olia.
Thanks so much for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome.
I've never done this before. I have no idea how this is going to go, but I figured I would just ask you questions and you answer them, and then I edit out the really bad things.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Let it just go for it.
Cool. Okay. So before I ask any specific questions, do you mind telling everyone how you got started in real estate?
Oh, that's a loaded question, but basically, to keep it short, I was a commercial fisherman, and I was basically getting, realizing that that industry wasn't going to cut it for what I wanted in life. And I started reading books and doing all the normal stuff you hear about to become a real estate investor. And I didn't really do anything with it. For years, I would just be out on the boat fishing and reading books, but never taking any action. And then, as luck would have it, my fishing business actually got to the point where I was on the verge of bankruptcy. And then real estate was really the only thing that I could do that I saw as a way to get me out of that situation. So, no matter what any of you may have for issues, real estate is one way to sort of help you get out of that situation or better your life, because it made a huge difference to me.
Yeah, well, it got me, at least it got me out of crying in the bathroom too. At that point. Not that I
That's good.
haven't cried, not that I haven't cried over like real estate issues, but yeah.
Well,
But
when you're down to like mac and cheese and barely paying your bills,
oh, it was
real
that bad? I had
estate
no idea.
real estate is a way to change everything really quickly. I
Mm,
mean, actually, the best thing I ever did was to get rid of my fishing business because it was holding me back. I don't recommend to anybody that they do what I did, but it worked. I burned my bridges, sunk the ships, whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
and
literally.
that was the best thing I ever did. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend
Yeah.
it.
No, I understand. So how do you so then it got to a point where your current business was getting difficult. So what did you do? What was the first thing you did? Like practical advice for someone who's like, okay, so I'm tired of my work or something. Like I have this real estate book, and what do I do? Because I think a huge issue with the industry of real estate training is that, a new person would come to a seminar and then they're teaching 25,000 different things and then it's overwhelming. I've been reading books for years before I did anything as well, and not that they weren't good books, it's just it was too much and I didn't know what to do. And I just kind of read them and I was like, yeah, okay, great for someone else. I can't do this, not for me. So what was how I God damn it, it's so hard to formulate this question. what was it like? What was your like step structure from I just read a book to okay, I'm gonna go do something? And what was that something that you did?
Okay.
Makes sense.
So for a lot of people, the best thing you can do is stop reading the books, because that's what most people end up doing. They're just studying, they're learning, they're overanalyzing, they're looking at deals. They don't even know if they're deals, but they're reading books and they're like, oh, I'm doing real estate. That is not doing real estate. When you get serious about making money in real estate, what you're doing is you're getting rid of all that stuff. Stop trying to learn everything, because there's no way you're going to. And you start to build a team around you. And what I mean by that is the title companies, real estate brokers, the other people, they let them worry about the details of real estate. What you need to be good at is finding situations where sellers need to sell. It's that simple. You want to get a good deal in real estate, find somebody who needs to sell their house. They're not selling it because they want to try to make as much money as they can. They're selling it because they just got a divorce and they need to leave town in the next 2 weeks. That's the difference. And they're out there all the time because there's always people going through these issues. Anyways, I'm looking at a condo right now that unfortunately the person who owns it just passed away like 4 days ago. And I know the whole situation, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get a really great deal on it. And I'm not saying that like you should go chasing ambulances or anything, but situations, life happens to people, and that's how you get good deals. Most of the deals I do are short sales where someone is losing their property for whatever reason. And most of the time, if you're in a short sale situation and you're the seller, you're not going to make any money anyways. You just want to get rid of it so it's not in your name anymore. And I know that personally, because when I was on the verge of bankruptcy, my house was 6 months behind in mortgage payments. I was getting the calls from the banks, and I know exactly what that feels like. And it was funny because at the time, my house was in foreclosure, and I started helping other people whose houses were in foreclosure. And that's how I got out of foreclosure. It was kind of an interesting situation. But the point is, I stopped reading the books and just started taking action, because you can read all day long, you can study real estate, you can do all that stuff, but until you take action, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change in your life.
And okay, so by taking action, what did you do exactly? You looked for these motivated sellers?
Yes.
And how
mainly what I did was drive around through neighborhoods, knock on doors, talk to people, find houses that were vacant, distressed looking, look up the owners, contact them, ask them if they want to sell, get something under contract. And then depending on the type of deal it was, I would choose which way seemed to be the best type of deal, either to keep it and hold it as a flip, or I would wholesale the contract to somebody else if it was a really good deal. I had no money and no credit at the time, zero. And it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because it forced me to learn how to invest in real estate, or at least speculate in real estate without money and credit. Because if you think you need money and credit to buy and sell real estate, then you probably are going to need money and credit. But if you can do it without it, the sky's the limit, because even if you screw up 10 times and lose everything, it doesn't matter, because you can go out the next day and put together another deal. And that's one of the biggest keys to real estate investing, is you do not quit no matter what. The persistence is your number one thing.
Yeah.
And if you have a hard time with persistence, real estate might be difficult because you have to be relentless. See, the thing about it is everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. So me and you are different because there's things that you are way better at than me.
Like what? Like what do you think that is?
Well, number one, you're probably a lot better at managing contractors, which is a huge problem that I have all the time because I'm way too nice to people.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a huge part of flipping. I think that's one of the things that I need to work on dramatically, because I trust people too much. When we make a deal, I
I have
stick
a
to
problem.
it, and that's it. And other people don't do that. And so it becomes a real issue. And but my point is, you're really good with contractors.
Mhm.
And that's something that I don't even want to be the hands-on person. I can't, like, me going to a site every day and working with contractors drives me up a wall. I have to be moving all the time.
I don't like that either, actually. Like I mean, I'm fairly fortunate. The main contractor that I have, he's good. But I have ran into problems with other people where the day-to-day stuff also drives me insane. I don't want to do it. I know that I will eventually need to hire a project manager to do the day-to-day stuff. I love the beginning and I love the end. Like I love finding these properties, looking for them. I love planning what we're gonna do, design, all of that stuff I love. And I love doing the open house when it's all done. And I actually enjoy, I really enjoy selling it, not just because it's mine, but because I really enjoy selling it. Most agents, they don't, because I'm my own agent, as you know, because I couldn't find anyone. That's the only reason, not because I ever wanted to do this.
Yeah.
um
Well, that was the same with me.
oh, that,
And
yeah, because you have your own
I
agents.
became a I became a broker because nobody was doing what I was trying to get them to do. And
Yeah, no one
they,
ever does. It's like 99, like I might get garbage for this, but 99% of people who are brokers, they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know the most basic things about selling, about buying, about negotiating contract. They don't even know contracts. Like they put their clients in so much danger, it should
mm,
be illegal. It's the least regulated industry I've ever seen. It's horrifying. So, anyways, like selling it and just listing it are two different things. So I enjoy selling, I enjoy design, the day-to-day stuff that someone else can do for basically a lot less money, because you are out there for hours. You could be doing things that don't, you're gonna spend 3 hours, 3-4 hours a week probably just managing it. You could be doing something else that will make you a lot more money.
mhm.
So you're basically losing money by doing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, my point to you is that I still believe that there are deals left and right in Seattle. I don't even think about the real estate. The real estate is secondary to, like, if you think about it, we're investing in people's problems, not real estate. Real estate is just the vehicle that we're using as a way to transfer the like it into a business situation. But what we're doing is helping people with big problems, real estate
Mm,
problems. And because of that, that's how you make money in real estate. It has nothing to do with the real estate. I mean, like they always say location, location, location. Yeah, that's great and everything. And that's really important. But
mm,
I would be more like circumstances, circumstances, circumstances than I would be location,
mhm,
because it, but my point to anybody that might be listening to this
mhm.
is that fucking put away the books, because you're not going to make any money in real estate reading books.
Yeah.
It's funny because you think it's like I spent hours and hours and hours reading books, and I still do. I listen to audiobooks all the time.
Mhm,
But I would tell you that when I was in it,
mhm.
when I was like focused and making the most money I've ever made in my life, I wasn't reading anything. I was doing deals.
Uh-huh.
And you don't have time to be reading books when you're in the grind, when it was like dead serious and I was like, I need to make as much as I can right now. And
Mhm.
it literally changed my, in 1 year, it was absolutely life changing.
And this was what year was this?
I've been like sort of free, I would say, for almost 7 years now.
7 years.
And I felt like the moment I sold my fishing business and got out from underneath that, I was retired almost, because I don't even look at these doing these real estate deals as work, really. I mean, it is work, but it's not the same. Like going out on a boat in the middle of the winter time when it's snowing and there's waves crashing over your head and stuff, that's work. Yeah, I mean, in commercial fishing, there's territories and people are fighting over fishing grounds, and there's you get threats from people. And so like when tenants or people get angry about real estate deals, sometimes I just kind of like laugh it off, because I'm like, you have no idea, like just like this is a joke. So
Are there any
um,
pirates?
yeah, it's different kind of pirates in real estate. But
Yeah, well, no, yes, yeah, I would know that. But yeah, no one's gonna physically drown you here at least.
right.
How do you protect yourself? Okay, so this is a question because you know what I went through just a few months ago. Well, no, it's been more than a few months. It's been almost a year actually. How do you, where are, okay, I need to rephrase this question. How do you protect yourself from, because let's face it, in this business, there are a lot of people that are less than morally sound. I've met a few,
Yeah.
and so have you. How do you, what do you have to watch out for so that you don't get screwed too badly, at least?
Um, okay. There's a fine line with this issue
Mhm.
because on the one hand, you want to have solid contracts,
Mhm.
but at the same time, if someone wants out of a deal, no matter how solid your contracts are, you it's just going in the wrong direction. Most of the deals that I do, if someone sort of changes their mind or they want out or something, even if I have a solid contract, a lot of times I'm just letting them go
Mhm.
because you don't have time to try to force somebody to do something they're not going to do. And a lot of times with the type of deals I do, like short sales and stuff, they fall apart all the time because sellers disappear. They don't care. They're not making any money anyways, 9 times out of 10. And to keep them in the deal is really the hardest part because, they want to be free from it, but they don't want to do any work. The point is, keeping people in the deal is one of the hardest things.
Mhm.
So if someone wants out, you're probably better off to just let it go because there's so many other deals where people need your help and they want your help. And if you just focus on those deals, it's kind of like I heard this from somebody else that was speaking one time. They were talking about driving through a cornfield in a car, and
Mhm.
the stalks, if you line them up just right on the car, they're just whipping past. And it's kind of like that. You're just throwing tons of deals into the hopper, and some of them are going to come out and some of them aren't. And you don't have time to waste your time on deals that aren't working out.
Mhm.
Well, and it's funny,
Because you have no
real
choice.
estate deals, a lot of times the money is made within like 30 seconds.
How does
Well,
that
and
work? Can
what
you
the
elaborate?
rest of the time is spent trying to get into that zone where that decision is made.
Mhm.
Because most of the time you're setting it up so that I mean, it's not even 30 seconds. It's more like 5 seconds because,
What do you mean? I don't think even I understand.
well, like where that decision is made, like where you get the seller to a point where they want to do the deal and you get some kind of confirmation that it's going to happen, and you want to recognize that situation so that you can not take advantage of it, but like recognize when it's happening and pull the trigger. Because
Mhm.
a lot of people will get to that point, they work really hard and they get to that point and then they miss it.
Mhm.
They miss the they
Oh, that was
they're
me so many times, I think. I've
yeah,
just
you're like aiming your gun, you're like ready to pull the trigger. There's the target is there, and you just drop the ball. Like it just like right there is a lot of people because they're scared.
Mhm. I haven't done that. I haven't really dropped the ball, but I can be quite disorganized sometimes with because like one day I found, several people and I wrote them on this little piece of paper and then I forgot about it for a week and then I called them back and they've already sold it. So that's what happens to me. I'm like, oh. So I have a sticky here. I'm not gonna turn this around from a guy who wants to sell that you and I found when you were here, and I just call him every 3 months, and I've been calling them. I've been calling him for what 2 years. You were here last time 2 years ago.
That's a very important point. And I would tell you that I just closed a deal not too long ago where I had been working on that seller for over 10 years.
10 years. That's
Mhm.
impressive.
And it finally worked out. it's not a great deal, but I'll probably end up making 100,000 off it or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so was it worth it? Sure,
Mm-hmm.
of course. But most people would not have stuck it out for 10 years. I mean, this seller
I wouldn't. I
was
know I wouldn't. I would just, it would,
unbelievable.
I would get sidetracked 100%. I'm awful at that. I'm really good at short-term projects, long-term projects. Oh, I need either to delegate it or I just need help.
But I mean, that sticky that you were just talking about, that you're doing it like 2 years, you've been sort of tracking that and keeping an eye. I mean, that's how you do it.
But
And
it's a good one. It's that guy from I think he's from Hungary. It's such a nice home and it does need work. So, and for
yeah,
me, one another nice thing about having a realtor license is if he doesn't want to sell it off market and he just wants to list it, I can do that too. And at
mhm,
that point, he's probably more likely to list it with me than another realtor because I've been there for the last 2 years.
right.
So chance, I mean, you can never know, of course, but I think chances are pretty high. Can you explain what a short sale is for people that don't know, please?
Okay. So to keep it simple, a short sale is kind of exactly what it sounds like. The lender, meaning in most cases the bank, is willing to take less than what the payoff is on the loan in order to get rid of the house. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, say the house is 200,000 is the debt that's on the house,
Mm-hmm.
and I come along and offer the seller, the owner of the property, 100,000, and I say, I'm willing to pay 100,000. I know you owe 200,000, but I'm only willing to pay 100.
Mm-hmm.
So then the bank says, to keep it simple, they say, fine, we'll take the 100,000 as a full payoff
Mm-hmm.
rather than the 200,000 that's owed us because we just want to get out of it. So they're
So the
willing to
bank benefits
discount.
from this too, right?
Oh, yeah, because it costs them a lot of money to foreclose on a property.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times they'll be willing to take a significant discount.
And what about wholesale? Can you explain wholesale briefly?
Okay. Wholesaling is kind of like you're getting a contract, a piece of paper on a piece of real estate that allows you to purchase it for a set amount of time for a set price.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when you get that contract, it's exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
So that has value. So let's say that the house you believe is worth 200,000, and because the seller is motivated, you're able to put it under contract with that seller for 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a piece of paper, a contract that's worth potentially $200,000 because the house is worth 200,000. So
Mm-hmm.
your right to buy it at 100,000 gives you like sort of what would be considered an option to buy that house at 100,000 even though it's worth 200. So
Mm-hmm.
I might be able to say to another investor, "Hey, I'll sell you this contract to buy at 100,000. I'll sell you my contract for $50,000."
Mm-hmm.
And so they pay you $50,000 for your right to buy at 100. So they're technically paying 150 for the house that's worth 200. So they're getting a $50,000 discount. You're making $50,000
Mm-hmm.
and everybody wins. The seller sells the house, you make 50,000 and the buyer gets a $50,000 price reduction.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So then maybe they come in and renovate the house and resell it for 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
but wholesaling is basically selling contracts. I think we're going into the most crazy real estate market you've ever seen very soon.
In what way?
Uh, I think there's going to be a lot of deals. And I don't think that we've even really begun to feel the effects of what COVID-19 has done. And we're going to,
So you are still in Portland, Maine, right?
roughly.
If somebody is there who wants to learn about real estate, can they just do you have any type of meetings for people who are interested or are new and want to learn? Um, Do you have anything like that still? I think you used to have um, a real estate investment meeting of some sort, right?
Yeah, I was doing monthly meetings and then COVID came around and kind of, you know, haven't really done it consistently for a while. Not that I wouldn't. And I actually would meet people one on one, for lunch or whatever. And depending on their situation, I can definitely help people, uh, you know, look at real estate as a way to
Hmm.
either make some extra money or change their life. So it just depends.
Cool. Would it be okay for me to share some sort of contact information for you in the
Sure.
bottom of this video?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Because
Mhm.
obviously I'm trying to create value with this interview, but my interview skills, I don't know. I guess I will see how valuable this is when I edit this. But, if somebody wants to learn and they are in your area, if they can contact you, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. When you did your first flip, um, did you feel like everything was kind of crazy and you weren't really sure what to do and you just, like took the bull by the horns, or did you or just kind of fall into it?
Um, yeah, it felt very off because I've never done it before. And another part that was really difficult was how expensive it was. Even though by our standards here, where our normal, you know, starting homes start at $750,000 in the Seattle area, anything that's under 500 is like, oh, it's cheap, but it's not cheap when it's your money. So it was my mom and I, so we didn't pay for it cash. We had a loan, a short-term loan, but still, like I just remember like waking up in the middle of it at night thinking like, what am I doing? What if it all goes to hell? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What do you think I am? What am I doing? Luckily, the first one worked out quite well. So, but it was really difficult actually. I was quite lucky because I had found a person who had managed a lot of these flips before, and she offered to help, so I hired her. So I had some assurance that we were doing things well. But I mean, I think just like anything, you've never done it before in your life and you're doing it. And I've wanted to do it for years because I was like you, I've read a few books and they were really good books. And I mean, it's a very difficult business with lots of moving parts. Yeah,
And
it's
you
not
did the right things,
yeah.
like because you didn't know exactly all the answers, but you took action and then you figured it out as you went along. And that's what people need to realize, that they're not going to have all the answers up front. You're never going to,
Yeah.
no way, not going to
No, no, no,
happen.
no, of course you don't, but then also like it's scary. It's scary and it's a lot of money involved and it's stressful. And I think with the very first project, at least what I had experienced is you don't know how big your problems are. Like for example, one time my contractor called me. He was like, oh, we have water in the basement. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's something that can be cleaned up, or is the basement going to fall apart and I've just lost everything. So it's, now it's still, it's like, okay, water in the basement. We fixed it. We had an inspector come out and inspect that everything was done correctly, and it was. So the problem was gone. But when you hear something like that as a completely new person, you're like, oh, that's it. That's it. It's happening. I'm going to lose everything.
You
Yeah.
did
But
it and it
now
was
looking back,
successful.
I'm like, would I want the experience that's stressful again for the first time? I don't know. I mean, I wish I could say, yes, yes, I'll do it 100 times over, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. So,
Flipping is a different commitment than wholesaling or something like that.
oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, wholesaling is very simple. It's just getting a great deal and selling the great deal to somebody else who wants to do the deal.
Hmm.
And that's why wholesaling is really great for new investors, because if you happen to find a great deal, you can make some quick money, but not have the risk and overhead and headaches of flipping.
I've realized I went backwards. The very first thing that I've ever done in real estate as an investor, right, was basically manage a rental property for 3 years. This home that I grew up in, my mom's home in Alaska. And then then I flipped, and then I wholesaled.
Yeah.
Normally it's the other way around, but I did it in reverse.
Yeah.
But you know what's nice about flipping is it's very concrete. Like it's you see a project that's right in front of you, you know what you need to figure out, and you just go for it. Where with wholesaling, what drives me nuts is it's the calling. It's the, it's the 99% of your effort going into the drain, basically.
Mhm.
So that drives me nuts. Like I don't know what, there's
Well,
no happiness anywhere, basically. That's it.
and with wholesaling, I mean, when the market is really hot, like it is right now and has been for years, I mean, the entire time that you and I have known each other, the market has been ridiculously hot.
Hmm.
When it goes the other way, that's when you're going to see a very different story. When it becomes a buyer's market, everything changes.
Hmm.
All the rules that you've been thinking about for the last few years change.
Hmm.
And you need to be able to make that shift because there's a lot of money to be made in either way. Whether the market's hot or whether the market's cold, it doesn't matter. You just change your strategy.
Hmm.
And I think, I don't know when, but it's going to happen pretty soon. I think we're going to go the other way. And it doesn't make it better or worse. It's just a different way of looking at it.
What's okay, so let's talk about personal qualities here for a second. What would you say the top three qualities that would help a person be successful in what you're doing? What are they? What do you absolutely need to have in order to just
The number
do
one
well?
thing is to be willing to take action,
Mm-hmm.
because without that, you forget it. Go do something else because you have to take action. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be working 80 hours a week or something like that. It's appropriate action. You could work 3 hours a week and have appropriate action and make more money than you've ever made in your life. It's just there's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Number two, recognize that you can leverage everything in real estate: your time, your money, other people's time, other people's resources, everything. That's why wholesaling is so great, because you're getting a deal on a property, and then other people are willing to fund that because it's a deal.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that have money, but they don't have deals. And that's why people who can put together deals make good money, because they can provide deals to the people who don't know how to make deals.
Mm-hmm.
That's why wholesaling is really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And third, I would say that belief, just believing that it will work. You have to have belief. If you don't have belief, it's not going to happen, because you won't even recognize the deal when it goes right by you, because you don't believe it. You have to
Believe as
believe.
in like believe that the process works, or believe that I personally can do it.
Yeah, more that you can do it. There's
Really.
too much evidence to argue that the process doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that would say, well, yeah, you can do that, but I could never do that. And they believe that in their soul. And they just
I used to do
talk
that.
themselves
I
right
used to
out of
do
it.
that. Because it's look like it's very strange, especially when you've spent years in corporate environment. It's hard when you're used to having a regular job, and then all of a sudden you have to one do something that you've never done before, and then while believing in yourself. Like I still have issues with that because I'm not used to it yet. It's doesn't mean that you can't do it without it. You can. You'll just be terrified the whole time, but you can still do it. But people
Yeah.
that truly like they are 100% confident about what they're doing, and they don't think they know that they can do incredibly well all the time. Like I genuinely envy that because I don't have that yet.
Hmm.
Do you have that?
I think for me personally, one of the things that I was good at was adjusting the way that I work with different people depending on the way they are.
How
And
do you?
that was one of the reasons why I would sort of be able to work with different types of issues with sellers because I could sort of relate to them in a way that worked. I don't know why, but that's just the way it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really a lot of it is it's like building that rapport with the seller to the point where they can just stick it out long enough for you to show them that you are benefiting them and that you're not just one of these people that's trying to take advantage of them, because there's so many people out there that are.
You can, so basically, you can find situations where everyone truly benefits. You're not ripping anybody
Absolutely.
off.
But I would say that wholesaling, keeping wholesale deals together is a lot easier than flips.
Yes, that's true.
Flips, you got to be like, you're in it every day. It's a job. You're literally buying yourself a job if you flip a house. And
That's kind
wholesaling is not that way.
of, mm-hmm,
Wholesaling, you're getting paid for negotiation when you're wholesaling.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And
Um,
most of the time, you don't have a lot of money in it, your
right.
own money. With flips,
Zero. Usually zero risk, zero money. And wholesaling works with everything. I mean, commercial, residential. I
mm-hmm,
mean, if you can get a great, if you can get a $8 million hotel under contract for $4 million and wholesale your contract for 6 million, that's a pretty good deal.
yeah.
Now, that's easier said than done, maybe.
Oh.
Okay, so when did you realize that you were sort of unemployable? Because once you learn these techniques and stuff, it's very difficult to go back to a corporate job, even though you're kind of looking at that. Um, I know you realize in the back of your mind that you just like it's a short-term thing. And it's like, when did you realize that you could no longer be controlled by the machine?
The machine. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think it wasn't so much like being controlled by the machine for me. It was I was doing something that I had no business doing. I, got a degree in accounting and finance, which is fine if that's what you like. I never really liked it. And I kept going from, you know, work, different. I kept changing work environments. And I've actually, like, there was one job that I really liked doing. It was internal control analyst at BP, British Petroleum, years ago. And it's the one that I'm using. Stuff that I've learned from that job I'm still using to this day. And it's basically planning for future fuck ups. That's what it is. So
Right.
hugely useful in what I'm doing. But um I mean, if I had a job in an industry that I enjoyed, and I just got tired of the 8 to 5, um I mean, I think I could answer the question, but it was just for me, like, doing something that I didn't really like. Like, in the last few years, I've done so many different things, and I can see where I'm good at naturally and organically, which I couldn't get to had I not done what I've done. I
Right.
had no idea I like hiring. I have no idea I like training. I didn't know that I would be good at negotiations. I mean, as good as I am, I'm really good. I had no clue. So I kind of started doing it, and this goes for both um, investment and residential. Because I kind of, I got into it. I was like, wow, I really, really enjoy it. So I did some training, I took some courses, and now I'm really good.
Right. Cool.
So I don't know. I don't know how to. I mean, the very first video on this channel starts with me talking about crying in the bathroom. I wasn't making it up. I really was, because I got to a point where I'm like, I'm 31. I think I was 31 or 32. I'm 31 years old. What I learned in school, I can't use anymore. I really can't. Like, I'm just bored and I'm miserable and I don't like it. And I wouldn't hire me as an accountant. My God, it's a terrible idea. And so I felt bad for myself. I felt bad for people, that I worked for. It was just time to go. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend quitting your job and doing something else right away. I would recommend keeping a job, or getting a different job where you have your basis, you cover your just basic expenses, and trying this. And you can do that, because for me then, like I said, I was really tired, exhausted from it. I just wanted to get out. but it's really hard. It's really,
Mm,
really hard. I think gradual change is better than drastic change in some areas. And it's just the thing is that those stories, they never make it anywhere. Like, people want to hear about, oh, I quit everything and I started this, and now 6 months later I've made 1 million. That's, I'm sure it happens, but
yeah,
it rarely happens.
yeah,
And I think gradually, moving, first of all, figuring out what is it that you like, and secondly, moving towards it gradually is probably a better idea, because
mhm,
it's already going to be stressful. You don't want to add extra stress by being stressed about the very basic things, like, oh, I'm gonna run out of money in 3 months. Like, what do I do? Like,
mm,
no, you don't want to do that.
right. Mm,
So
okay. Well,
I don't have any advice for anyone at this point. I can seriously. The only thing I've realized, I'm like, what can I advise people on? Um, how to how to design and flip a home. I can do that. But as far as like life advice or career advice, yeah, I'm not. They can ask you. They can't ask me yet.
I gotta run.
Okay, we might have to add to it later. But thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Cool.
bye.
See ya.
So that's it for my very first interview. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And like I said in the beginning, please, please, please ask your questions in the comments, and I will be happy to answer them. Scott and I can do more of these interviews and expand on what interests you. Okay, thank you again. My name is Olya. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.